Hi there. Thanks for being here. Good times, good times. Okay, this is Late Night Talks. Hi, James. Good to have you here. Today, we are going to talk about yoga and meditation, specifically the Self Realization Fellowship and the guy who started it, Paramahansa Yogananda. He wrote several books. This book is one of my favorite books. I have over 400 books on psychology, philosophy, world religions, the occult, all kinds of alternative spirituality, psychology. Been reading for over 40 years. Took psychology, world religions in college. Don't have a degree, but been reading for 40 years and have over 400 books. It's a lot of fun. I don't belong to any organization or church or group. Just kind of spiritually independent. I love to find out about this kind of stuff. It doesn't mean I join it, and I educate you about it. We talk about spiritual groups, what they believe. We ask all sorts of fun, cosmic, late night spiritual questions, not to push anything on you, but just to, what do you think about this? And we dare to question psychology and book authors. This is Late Night Talks, all together like it's one word, no spaces. Okay, today, Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my favorite books is called The Science of Religion. It's not a very big book. You can see it's pretty flat. It really made me stop and think. He's got his own views on what religion is. It's kind of a psychological thing with him. So I'm going to skip around on the book and give you some hopefully good information. I try to put out original content on this channel, stuff that you're not going to hear from 10 other people. So that's good for you. Here we go. The Science of Religion. And this is from the preface. I'm going to be reading little bits, page and a half blurbs here, so you can really get a good feel for where this guy's coming from. The point emphasized in this book is that whatever conception we have of God, if it doesn't influence our daily conduct, if everyday life does not find an inspiration from it, and if it's not found to be universally necessary, then that conception is worse than useless. If God isn't conceived in such a way that we can't do without him in the satisfaction of a want, in our dealings with people, in earning money, in reading a book, in passing an examination, in the doing of the most trifling or the highest duties, then it is better we should act discreetly, taking his useless name less into churches and temples. God may be infinite, omnipresent, omniscient, personal, merciful, or anything. But these conceptions are not sufficiently compelling to make us try to know him. So that's really interesting. It strikes me as just like the Christians would say, a personal relationship with God. Seems like he's sort of describing that to me, like you want a God who is useful and necessary, and why am I doing this? You want to connect with God. So far, so good. Okay, that's the preface. I'm going to skip to page 4 or 5 here. This is from chapter 1. Without necessity, there is no action. Every action of ours has an end of its own for which we perform it. People of the world act variously to accomplish various ends. There's a multiplicity of ends determining the actions of men in the world. But is there any common and universal end of all the actions of all the people of the world? Is there? Is there any common highest necessity for all of us which prompts us to all our actions? A little analysis of the motives and ends of men's actions in the world shows us, though there are 1,001 proximate or immediate ends of men in regard to the particular calling or profession for which they take up, the ultimate end, which all the other ends merely subserve, comes to be the avoidance of pain and want and the attainment of permanent bliss. Whether we can at all permanently avoid pain and want and get bliss is a separate question. I like that he included that. I mean, at least he's not being too dreamy-eyed about it. But as a matter of fact, in all our actions, we obviously try to avoid the former and get the latter. Why does a man act as a probationer? Because he wishes to become an expert in a certain business. Why does he engage in that particular business? Because money can be earned that way. Why should money be earned at all? Because it will put an end to personal and family wants. Why should wants be fulfilled? Because pain will thereby be removed and bliss, or at least happiness, will be gained. As a matter of fact, happiness and bliss are not the same thing. We all aim at bliss, but through a great blunder. I wouldn't use the word bliss myself, but hey, it's his book. Okay, moving on to some more stuff here. That was from pages 4 and 5. Let's go up to about page 44. Where was that here? Yes, just a moment. Okay, moving on. Further on in the book, he talks about 4 fundamental religious methods. I'll briefly go through them here. First is the intellectual method, the commonly adopted natural method, not so effective in realizing the end. Intellectual development and progression has been natural and hence common to all rational beings. I'm just going to give a quick description of what it is. Second method is the devotional method. This consists in fixing the attention of the spiritual self on one object of thought rather than on different series of thoughts and on different objects, as in the intellectual method. Under this method are included all forms of worship, such as prayer, from which we must eliminate all thoughts of worldly things or objects of reverence. The spiritual self must fix its attention deeply on whatsoever it chooses to concentrate on. It may be anything that it likes. The spiritual self may create a personal God, an impersonal, omnipresent God, or any other thing. It must simply concentrate on one object of thought in good earnest. By this process, the spiritual self becomes gradually freed from the disturbances of vagrant thoughts. That's the devotional method. And number 3, the meditation method. This and the next method are purely scientific, involving a practical course of training, and are prescribed by great savants who have realized the truth personally in their own lives. I myself learned them from one of these. There is nothing of mystery in them or anything to be dreaded as harmful. They are very easy if one is properly acquainted with them. They will be found to be universally true. Practically felt knowledge is the best proof of their validity and pragmatic utility. By undergoing regularly the processes of meditation till they become a habit, we can bring upon ourselves a state of conscious sleep. We generally experience this calm and pleasurable, tranquil state just when we are falling into deep sleep and approaching unconsciousness, or rising from it and approaching consciousness. Just before you go to sleep and just before you wake up. Kind of reminds me of when people talked about alpha state brain waves, but that's another thing. Let's see here. In this state of conscious sleep, we become free from all thoughts and outer bodily sensations, and the self gets time to think of itself. Okay. Meditation method. And lastly, number 4, he calls it the organic scientific method. Let me see here. I will give only a general idea of the process and true scientific theory on which it is based. I set it down here from my own experience, he says. I can say it will be found to be universally true. And I can also safely say that bliss, which is, as I pointed out, our ultimate end, is felt in intense degree in the act of practicing this method. The practice of it is itself intensely blissful, far more purely blissful, I venture to say, than the greatest enjoyment of any of our 5 senses or the mind can ever afford us. Wow, sounds pretty good. I wonder how long it takes to get there. So anyway, there's 4 methods there. The first half of this book, again, this is The Science of Religion by Paramahansa Yogananda. He's also the founder of the Self-Realization Fellowship, which is based in Los Angeles. There's so much stuff that he wrote. He wrote Autobiography of a Yogi, this book, Science of Religion, a bunch of books. I think there's value in meditation. I'm not that good at it. I try to get better at it here and there. It's nothing I do daily, but I should do it more often. It does tend to calm people down and give clarity. But it's one of my favorite books. The first half of this, The Science of Religion, really made me sit up and think, thinking, the guy does make a good case for what he's talking about. The second half of the book, as it goes more toward the end, he gets more and more into bliss. He starts to lose me a little bit, but hang on. I think he goes a little bit much with it, but that is not to say that first half of the book, don't discount that, because if you've ever listened to somebody and you think, I really, really, really liked what you said up to here, at least give him that up to here first half of the book. It made me think. I'm not saying I believe everything he says, but it's just an interesting way that he looks at things. And as he unfolds his reasoning, it's like, okay, what makes you think that? How did you get to this? And that kind of stuff. He lays that all out. He's pretty open about everything. So I really enjoyed that. It's a good read. Again, not very big book. The Science of Religion by Swami Yogananda, or Paramahansa Yogananda, as he's also known. I really recommend that if you're thinking of anything yoga-like. Probably enjoy that. Anyway, that's it for today. The Science of Religion by Paramahansa Yogananda. I also talk on this channel about spiritual questions. If you look at some of my other videos, I hope you do. I've got one, I think it's called 11 Unanswered Spiritual Questions, where I just ask questions. Hey, what about this? What about that? Do you know? Leave a comment. Maybe you can tell me something. Let me see what else. I made a video arguing for the existence of God. Is there a God? Probably. Yes. Can I ironclad 1,000% prove it? No. But most likely there is. And I tell you why in that video. We dare to question psychology. There is so much stuff in psychology. Now, I'm not against all psychology. There's a lot of good therapists doing people a lot of good. But on the whole, the profession itself There's this manual called the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Behavioral Disorders. This is how they diagnose wacko stuff and personality disorders, things that are wrong with people. And this thing is getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter all the time. It's already been revised. I don't know how many times, 4 times, 5 times? I'm not even sure what it's up to now. And it's just like, you guys need to streamline this thing. You really need to streamline this thing. So we dare to question psychology and psychology book authors. I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy with an opinion and free speech. And you can agree with me or not agree with me. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just giving you my opinions, which I have a right to do, and so do you. So if you like questioning psychology and experts, if you like asking late night cosmic questions, if you like to find out about different spiritual groups and what they teach, this is the place for you. Late Night Talks, all together. My name's James. Thanks so much for being here. I don't think anyone even knows I'm here yet, so tell your friends and give me a like or subscribe if any of this appeals to you. Check out my other videos too. There's I think I'm up to about 30 different ones now, and I'll bet you find a few that you really like. See you next time, and thanks for being here. Bye-bye.